Hi guys, just a second video for my channel. We are inside my garage. It is a horrible wet day here in the UK, and I'm a gardener by trade, and it's so wet I can't work today. I mean, I could, but I'd get absolutely soaked and I'd probably ruin all the grass that I am climbing over. So I decided that it is time to start getting my garden ready. I started with a tropical style garden a couple of years ago, and as such I grow a few plants that I take out of the pots in the winter months, because they are big corms of plants such as amorphophallus and sauromatum. Now here's some small bulbs. These came off of the main parent plants, which I'll show you in a second, but I noticed that they are just starting to sprout, so they will be potted up into a mix today that is very free draining, because they hate to be sat too moist, especially when they're at just this stage. They've got no leaves. The vast majority of moisture from a plant is lost through its leaves, so when it's at this stage it's not going to be losing a lot of moisture, so it doesn't need to gain too much. But because they are just starting to sprout, I will pot them up into a mix that is only as moist as the compost, you know, that is coming out of the bags and going into the mix to start with. As soon as I see that the leaf is, you know, nearly fully grown and starting to develop, I will then start to water them, because they'll start losing moisture then. But yeah, so I'm going to show you how I do my mix. I do apologise for the lighting in here. Unfortunately, I don't have any lights in this garage, so it's just whatever natural light we've got coming in here. So as I say, these are, you know, that's a good size one, but that is baby in comparison to, for instance, this fella. So this is one of my bigger ones from last year. I found that I can get them to quadruple in size each year, because I feed them a lot. You don't have to do the same feeding regime that I do, but I found that it works, and I found that it really does get as much growth out of the plant as you can get. So just to show you, they do get a fair size. So this is an amorphophallus konjac. This went in the pot last year, weighing, it's probably not far off of that actually, maybe smaller. It weighed in at 643 grams and it came out weighing over 2.4 kilos. So I'm hoping for another good growth this year. I think it may flower this time. It is just starting to pop out the top there. For people that don't know, these are known as corpse flowers, and that's due to the flower they put up. It absolutely stinks of carrion, of dead animal, to attract flies to come and pollinate them. So not the most pleasant thing, but the flower is stunning, and the actual leaf itself is absolutely magnificent. It comes up, it forms a leaf that's as wide as this central circle here, and the leaf comes up and then it makes itself, it almost looks like a tree with several leaves on, but it is actually one petiole, one leaf. And yeah, they just look really nice amongst other foliage in your garden. And I mean, you know, that's pretty impressive, isn't it, to show friends in winter and autumn. We have got a couple of other bigger ones in here. This one did flower last year. Let me get this out. Firstly, actually, let me show you how I store them over winter. So I simply store them like this, mixed in. They're in my garage, and they are just mixed in with sawdust just to keep them nice and dry. And you know, it just, there we go. Well, the other big ones, and they just stay in here through the winter. If we get extreme temperatures of, you know, -6 or below, I'd probably just bring the box in for the night, just to be on the safe side. They are fairly hardy, but I've got to remember that they are not in the ground. They've not really got any protection other than the sawdust, which is more there to keep them dry rather than actually keep them warm. So I've got to remember that, and I do need to, I just like to be safe, really. So there we go, you can see this was the one that flowered last year. It created I think the flower was nearly 5 foot tall, and when they flower, what they do is they suck a lot of energy out of the bulb, and the bulb shrinks quite a lot, and that's the job of the leaf to come after, to then pull that energy back in, make food for the plant, bulk the bulb up, ready to flower again. So it's very important that you sort of give it food, bulk it back up again, especially if it's of a flowering size. Now this one, unfortunately, you can see on the bottom there, it's all healed over, but what happened was the part of the bulb hadn't formed properly and actually got caught, and so when I pulled it out the pot, it ripped that bottom half off, and I was absolutely gutted because it's probably a quarter of the weight of this. This one actually weighs in less than that one there, even though it's more round and a bigger bulb. It actually does weigh less. So yeah, a little bit annoyed about that, but hopefully this year they put on a nice amount of weight and we get them in up and over 3 or 4 kilos. I'll just show you one more big bulb before I show you the mix that I popped them into for the growing season. So, because this one is a sauromatum venosum Indian giant. Now you can see again, this is just starting to pop up, so this will be potted up soon. And yeah, I mean, these grow absolutely massive as well. The leaf on this actually is different to konjac. It does come up in the same respect of it's one leaf, but it creates, I think, 5 leaves that sort of have like a U bend behind them, and so spay out like this, and they just look really, really nice. So yeah, that's those bulbs there. Right, I'm going to show you the mix I do. Let me see if I can grab stuff. I apologise for the noise. There we go. Right, so the important thing with these, like I said, is they want a really, really free draining mix, and I achieve that by using a third of a multi-purpose compost. A lot of the peat-free compost now in the UK they're very open anyway, quite woody material, so they are actually pretty good for these. And then I use a third perlite just to again open up the mixture even more, and then I use a third well rotted leaf humus. Now this opens up the mixture, but it also gives a bit of food into the mix as well. And I do actually add food into the mix as well, which I use bloodfish and bone and poultry manure pellets. You can see a lovely mix there of it. That's all I use through the growing season, apart from when I get flowering plants like my brugmansias and things like that. I add in a high potassium feed, usually in liquid form, though, something like Tomerite or Big Tom, or I use a natural one called comfrey. It's a juice that I squeeze from comfrey plants, and it just works really well. Nice high potassium. So yeah, let me start the mix. I will sort of talk you through as I do it. I'm going to just mix it in here so I can show you today, but I usually mix them in a massive tub like this because I've got a lot to plant up. So yeah, so like I said, we do a third perlite, a third well rotted leaf humus, and you'll see, you know, that is just lovely stuff. Really nice, opens the mix up. And then just a third of a multi-purpose compost. You know, this one come from Homebase. Like I say, the new sort of peat-free in this country are quite open, so they're actually quite good for these sort of plants. And then, sorry for the noise again, we just mix around. And you can see, nice open mix, not too moist. It's got a bit of moisture from the leaf humus because that has been sat outside in a bag, and then it's got a little bit of moisture from the multi-purpose compost, but you don't want it too moist at this stage, as I said. So once we've got that, we get our bloodfish and bone and poultry manure pellets, which smell absolutely revolting in an enclosed space like this, but I'm not shy with it. I give a good amount in there. at the end of the day, any plant growing in a pot is only going to get the feed that you give it. So it's different if it's in the ground, you know, it will be able to send its roots down, gain whatever it can from the ground there. But when you're growing in pots, I think people sometimes overlook that, you know, especially plants that have been in pots for a long time and haven't had a refresh on soil, they're going to have no real nutrients left in there. So you need to feed it. You need to do your work to help it along. So there we go. There's the mix, and like I say, nice, open, fairly dry. It's just got a little bit of moisture in. And yeah, we'll grab a bulb. What I'll do is I'll do one of these smaller ones. I won't do the big ones on video, but I'll do one of the smaller ones to get the idea, and we'll plant this one. In fact, actually, we'll plant one of the medium ones. We'll plant this one. Now, what you want is a pot that is ideally about 4 times as wide as the bulb. Like I say, they can quadruple in size, so we've got it's probably about 3.5 there, but it'll do. And you want to be planting these a couple of inches down, so you know it's going to be there, just so it anchors it, because when that leaf comes up, it's actually quite top heavy. And yeah, a couple of inches down, and in the centre of the pot. And what they actually do is, once they start growing season, they actually grow roots all out the top of these little dents you can see, and bumps. Now, they obviously take up nutrients, help the plant to grow and anchor it down. And then when we get towards the end of the season, the leaf will start to yellow, and it dies off. Once that leaf has died and it's done its job for the season, usually I find November sort of time, once the temperature drops, it should just break off. It should break off no problem itself. At that point, I actually lift all of mine, because they are in pots, so they can get attacked by the frost from all sides. Now, like I say, they are hardy, these 2 types in particular, but I just like to lift them, because it gives me peace of mind that they are protected if we get really harsh days, harsh nights even. It also allows me to check the bulbs over and check they're in good health. If there's any rotten parts, I can cut off and treat with cinnamon just to heal the wound. But yeah, it means I can check them over and make changes if I need to. And then finally, it allows me to take off the little baby corms, because when you get these bigger bulbs like this, these bits here, they actually grow new corms off the side of them. They have like a long piece, well, the konjac has a long piece come off and then grows a new bulb on the end. The sauromatum, this one here, you can see the dents. So this actually grows, you'll have these growing in here like this, and you just break them off, pop them off, and there you go, you've got a new plant. So that's the third reason that I like to sort of lift these each year. Because it just means I can get the babies off and sell the excess. And yeah, so there we go. You can see the corms in there, a couple of inches down. And now I just cover it up with the rest of the mix. And in a few weeks' time, you'll start seeing the leaf popping out. And this bulb isn't big enough, so I know it'll be a leaf. The bigger bulbs may put out a flower if they are at a good weight to do so. And yeah, so I just put my label in, saying what it is, and then that sits there until the temperature's warm and it creates a leaf. And I mean, a bulb that size, the leaf, you know, probably cut to about here, I would imagine, maybe 1 foot to 1.5 foot out of the pot. And probably be 1 foot wide as well, from what I've seen. And that's when I'll start watering. So I'm hoping, you know, this has given you maybe some interest in these plants, because I think some people don't really know about them, but if you look into them, they're incredible plants, and the foliage makes a really nice change to a lot of the foliage you get in gardens, especially tropical style ones, where you get all these big leaves, you know, bananas, tetrapanics, stuff like that, and they're just one group of lots of little leaves. So very, very nice. So yeah, I'm going to end the video here, carry on potting up the rest, which will probably take me a while, and we'll do updates as they sort of sprout out the media, then as they get a bit bigger. And then in growing season, I will do some tours of the garden. I should have done it last year because it actually looked really good. But I'm hoping for it to look better this year. And actually, I'm going to do a complete overhaul of the garden. So hopefully it'll look better this year. All right, I will speak to you guys soon.